Hello, thank you for listening to 3 Legacies Recovery Recordings. If you enjoy our program, please be sure to like and subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to share with a friend. We're also self-supporting, so feel free to contribute to the channel through Venmo at Recovery Recordings 615. Please note that the views expressed on this podcast are solely our individual views and do not represent any official stance of any 12-step program. We are not affiliated with any specific recovery organization, and this content should not be considered as professional advice for alcoholism or addiction.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to 3 Legacies Recovery Recordings Podcast. I'm your host, Paul. Today is Friday, August 22nd, 2025. This is episode 60. And I want to thank all the listeners, all the emails, suggestions, comments we've been getting. We've been getting a lot of love. You can reach us at recoveryrecordings615@yahoo.com. If you have any talks that you want to send in to us, I'd love to post it. Check it out, post it. If you have any suggestions on podcast episodes or people you'd like to have on the show, feel free to reach out to us. Again, it's recoveryrecordings615@yahoo.com. You'll also find us on, we have a private Facebook page. It is 3 Legacies Recovery Recordings Podcast. And you can get on there and send us a friend request and we'll accept it. You can also reach it or find us on Audible, Spotify, iHeartRadio, several other major platforms, Podomatic. There's several others. I don't have the list in front of me right now, but we have a couple people coming up I'm excited about. We have Juanita Yu from Santa Fe, New Mexico. She's going to be joining us this upcoming Sunday, the 24th, August 24th. And we've been doing a series. Juanita is a longtime 39-year member of Al-Anon, and we are going to be doing a series that we've been doing on, applying the 12 traditions to your family life, which has been super fun. Juanita's freaking amazing. Also, we have Jane W. from Nashville, Tennessee, coming up this, Wednesday, August 27th. And Jane is going to be doing some inventory. We're going to do a podcast on inventory. We're calling it A Business Which Takes No Regular Inventory Usually Goes Broke. Super excited about her. She's going to be on the following week too. And then next Sunday, I'm really excited about it too. Jerry P is coming. We're going to be starting 12 traditions. It's funny, we do a lot of tradition stuff. I know, I get it. We're starting. This actually just not applying it to your family life. We've been doing a lot of applying it to your family life stuff, but we're actually doing a 12 traditions and Alcoholics Anonymous, like applying it to the group and how important that is. But we're starting a series on, like I said, it was August 31st with Jerry P. Super excited about tonight's guest. This guy, I've known this guy now for a couple years. I met him a couple years back in the treatment center, carrying the message in there, and met him, and he's just, we fell in love with him. We're home group members, and so I'm excited to announce Raheem B from Castalian Springs. How you doing, buddy?
Hey, what's up, Paul?
How's it going, man?
That's pretty good, man. It's good to be here with you, man.
Yeah.
Appreciate the invite.
Yeah, buddy. Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you fine. Yeah.
All right, cool. How's everything going with you this week, Raheem?
Oh, yeah, everything's pretty good. You know what I mean? I wish I had off sometime, but I have to during the weekends. But I'm on the clock all weekend usually, dealing with the guys that men. You know what I mean? So, it's always an adventure, and I just stay busy. You know what I mean? Because I'm in recovery, hardcore right now.
Good.
It's all around.
Yeah. For the listeners, Raheem's sobriety date is August 1st, 2023. You just came up and just celebrated 2 years. Is that right?
Yeah, just got 2 years. Really grateful to be with you guys and to have you guys celebrate with me, man. Like, you guys definitely making a big, huge impact, difference in my life, for sure.
Yeah, man. Well, let's talk a little bit. Let's get to know you a little bit. Let the listeners find out a little bit about you before we get into some recovery stuff. Let's talk a little bit about your childhood. You know, where are you from originally?
Wow, well, that's funny where I'm from, because I never really was from anywhere. I was born, I guess, in New Jersey, Newark, New Jersey, during the Newark City riots. You know, I was, the second born out of three. My mother probably at that time was, just under 15 when she had me.
Wow.
And by the time she was 16, she had three boys.
Wow.
So, I lived with my mother for a good long time. I can remember little bits and pieces of, living in the projects with her.
How old are you now, Raheem? How old are you?
I'm 45 now.
45. Okay.
Yeah, I'll be pushing 46, man.
Nice.
Coming up.
Yeah.
So it's been, I just have like little glimpses. I cannot, like, at this point in my life, well, it has been for that way in a long time. I can't remember what my mom looked like, you know what I mean?
Gotcha.
When I was 4 years old, I was transferred into foster care. My mother was an active addict. My father was in and out of jail. I remember briefly visiting him there. He was wearing all green at the time. I lived back and forth with family members while I was with my mom, so there could, no telling what she was doing. There's obvious telling what she was doing. As I got older, I started to understand a little bit more. But eventually, me and my brothers were taken away from my mom, and we were put into foster care. One time, she came back after that, and then when I was around 4 or 5 years old, I was taken away from her permanently and placed into foster care until I reached the tender age of 17 and was emancipated. So I don't know. I didn't have, my mom never came back, so I didn't really have any ties to my family. I do remember basically all of my family. I come from a family of alcoholics and addicts, and I remember my grandfather, my mother's father, was pretty much a drunk. I remember that. My cousins, my uncles, aunts, all of them drink. I just recently had a cousin pass away from use. So it's kind of just running. It's running my family. It's been passed down for generations at this point, and I think a lot of it is just medicating from the trauma of living in the situation we were living in. And for them, it just seems like it's the only normal life.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I was.
Go ahead.
Huh?
Go ahead.
I was, I guess, put into foster care, like I said, when I was pretty young. So, they say, like, by the time you're 4 or 5, you kind of have your personality already, and I guess that was kind of true for me. By the time I had gone into foster care, it was a complete culture shock. They moved me into I remember going to a group home at first for a little while, but then they moved me into a house where I was supposed to be, I think, adopted eventually. But I don't think I behaved the way that she wanted me to behave. And this was the first lady of a church, and her husband was the pastor of the church. And the shock was pretty, it was kind of like almost like a retraining situation going on there. And it was.
How old was you by this time?
By that time, I was about 5 or 6 years old. I remember that was the first time I actually went to school. I think I was 6, right? Because initially I was put into kindergarten, but they said I was too smart to be in kindergarten, so they put me in. They moved me back to first grade, and that was one of the things that I was told as a kid. I was bright. I never understood what that meant, because the other half of that was me being bad, and so I was bad and bright. You know what I mean? So the situation in that house was a lot of physical abuse. I remember never being hit by my mother. And the only time she would yell at me was when we got caught doing something wrong. And she trained us well in how to survive on the streets. And so going there was more like, you either learn table manners, you either learn how to speak properly, or you would, basically get the skin taken off of you with some of the items that she found close to her. It ranged.
And this is with the foster parents, the first set.
Yeah. First family. Yeah. They had kids of their own, and I never felt like I was, a part of that family. We were, I was more or less the protector of my brothers, the older and the younger. You know what I mean? I was a little smarter than my older brother and a little stronger than my younger brother.
You all stayed together at the time?
Yeah. At the time, he managed to get it all together. At first, it was just me and my little brother, and then we mentioned one day that we had an older brother, and she brought all of us in there together. So, I mean, I think that, if I think back on it now, I get that she was coming, or at least trying to love us the best way that she could, and also trying to get us ready for a different kind of life, But the way that it was done was torturous. There were times when, we would run or from the beatings, and eventually it became us getting tied down, and went from extension cords to wooden spoons. And I was once stabbed in the mouth with a fork for sliding the fork with my teeth. I used to do that when I ate. And I didn't even know it was anything wrong until she backsmacked me one day and the fork jammed into the roof of my mouth.
Wow. Yeah.
She sent me to bed after I pulled it out because my mouth started bleeding at the dinner table.
Wow.
But those were just some of the things that I saw as, I couldn't do right. You know what I mean? And I think I always wanted to do right. I think I always wanted to please people. I wanted to be the good kid. That's funny, because my whole life, like a lot of the problems that I ran into, it always seemed like they came from me trying to do the right thing. When I was about 9 years old, the abuse continued for a good long time in that house. And when I was 9 years old, I got in trouble for hitting a teacher. Let's just say, like, I was upset. I was an angry kid, but the thing is, I took my anger out on like bullies. I never bullied anybody, but I would fight bullies, for other people, or for my brothers, or I never really went after anybody on my own. And it was always like, when I did go at them, it was like a red out. And I learned that really early on to dissociate myself, especially from physical pain. So my pain tolerance is, super high even to this day. But from the beatings, I would, kind of just almost desensitize myself from it, take myself out of my body so that I wouldn't feel the pain of some of the beatings that I was getting. And you know, it was funny. Afterwards, she would season us with alcohol in the bathtub. You know what I mean, to heal some of the scars that were caused. You know, and you know, it was often I was, you know, cut and bleeding, and
Wow.
times where I couldn't sit down in class and things like that.
Wow.
But there was
go ahead.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this though. So this is still with the first family. Like how many families did you and your brothers go like over the years?
Oh, so when I went to a bunch of houses right after that one, and initially, you know, there came a day when you know, I got in trouble, as I said, with the teacher, and I was gonna, you know, be suspended from school, and she had, you know, I knew I was gonna get tore up for that. I slapped her. Yeah, slapped her. You know, and I was sent to a babysitter, and you know, eventually told the babysitter about what was going on in the house, and the state came and, you know, got me out of that house. My brothers stayed though. Later on, my older brother, I'm told, threw a grill at her husband, and my younger brother, he actually died, but he stayed with her until he was, you know, an adult. He became a Marine. But there was a time when that situation was happening, and you know, in that office, when I was ready to, you know, it's time to stand up. You know, like let's get away from this person, and you know, my brothers, my little brother had been so brainwashed that he just didn't. That was the only mother he knew, really, and you know, of course, I think my older brother stayed there to protect him.
Wow.
So they didn't of anything, even though, you know, the hospital could see the scars that I had on me. They let my brother stay in the hospital, stay in the house with them, and they moved me after that into a group home, and of course it was in between time, you go, because they put you in temporary homes, you know what I mean, before they find a permanent place for you to go, so you kind of bounce around a little bit.
Yeah.
And then they put you in some place that's more temporary. And for me, it was the group home thing. And I guess that was my initiation to sort of like a jail setting almost. You know what I mean? You know, you get a room with a bunch of guys and a house full of guys. It wasn't that bad. I adapted pretty quickly, you know, and of course, you know, I was a fighter. So, you know, that's one of the ways to get people to leave you alone is to kick somebody's butt, you know?
Yeah. Wow.
And, you know, I was a pretty little guy. So as long as I would, you know, hit a big person, and everybody else would probably, you know, pretty much leave you alone.
Yeah.
You know? So that was kind of my thing.
Wow.
You know, just.
So how about, okay. And what about your father? Like, was your father in the picture at this point, or you had mentioned your mother?
Not quite yet. You know, I bounced around quite a bit. And you know, after they let me out of the group home, and they actually put me in another house. And well, I guess by the time I was 11 years old, you know, this is actually when the sexual abuse actually started. And I was like, grown women couldn't keep their hands off me for some reason. This lasted from, you know, house to house all the way up until I left.
Wow. That happened in multiple houses, sexual abuse.
Yeah, four different times by four different women.
Wow. That were supposed to be your caretakers.
Yeah, supposed to be my caretakers, or people that were close to the people that were my caretakers. And actually, one was one of my high schools. I mean, I went to four different high schools. One of them was the guidance counselor. You know, and this was actually around the time that I started drinking, because you I was going through this with these women. I was trying to figure out if I wanted it, or if, if it was the right thing, or, you know what I mean? I wasn't sure. I'm a kid. I'm a boy, a little horny boy. You know what I mean? And some of it was a little bit probably was me wondering. You know what I mean? Like, so there was a little bit of excitement about it, I guess. I guess I got older to realize that they should have known better. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I guess when I was about 15 years old, I got news that my mother had passed, and during that time of us being gone, and it might have been before we left, she had gotten HIV and died from AIDS-related complications. It was at her funeral pretty soon after that I met my littlest brother. He was 7 years old at the time. We hung out for a few months, and he had contracted the virus from my mother, and we played for a few months, and she died in October, and he died in March.
Wow. Man.
So that was around the time when it's the first suicide attempt for me, and I think that was just a cry for help, because it was the worst kind of attempt ever. If you actually want to do something, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it was also the time when I actually started drinking, and that was at the time of the whole guidance counselor incident, I'd been getting drunk and going to school, and she caught me one day in hiding, actually, in the guidance counselor area, kind of passed out on one of the benches, and decided she wanted to take me home because she could see I was drunk. And we went to her house before I went home, and no one ever knew about that. I never told anybody about that. But that was the one time that I actually had no interest in it whatsoever. This is not a young lady. I guess around that time I had moved into another house, and this was the place that I actually felt at home at, and I still call this lady my mama to this day. I don't reach out as much as I am, because I have this thing with connections and being able to hold on to connections. I got some abandonment issues going on, or what have you, but I'm working on it. And my dad had gotten in. I had actually saw my dad at my mom's funeral, and I had just gotten in trouble for the first time with the law, and it was something really petty, and I probably wouldn't have been in much trouble for it, but I asked the judge if I could move to Florida to live with my dad if they would drop the charges, and the judge agreed, and so I was off to Florida. It was subsequently my introduction to AA at 17.
How long had your dad? You said your dad was a sober member of AA at the time.
Yep, my dad. When I met him again, he had 7 years sober.
Wow.
And I gave him hell. I'm grateful to this day that he did have that time, because when I first, I couldn't understand why he could have 7 years sober and not save me or not rescue me from all this stuff that I went through in the past 7 years.
Yeah. So, and at this point, how old were you at that point?
I was 17 at the time.
Gotcha. So,
Yeah.
so you had mentioned you had started drinking right around a year or so prior to that, right?
Right. Yeah.
Well, so when you first started drinking, what was your relationship like with alcohol? I mean, did you enjoy it from the jump, or what would that look like?
So as I said, like the whole thing with me, even as a kid, being able to dissociate myself, reading out, and just not being present. The first time I drank alcohol, I blacked out, and it was the best thing that could have ever happened. I felt like it was the best thing that could, all the way up until the blackout. It felt like it was the best thing that could have ever happened to me.
So you enjoyed it?
Oh, it was like mother's milk. And when I say that, I think I probably was drinking it out my mom's boob or something like that, because it was like it was that so easy, and it was like it was
Wow.
you know, it was the best. I think honestly, I've only thrown up once from alcohol.
Wow.
And you know, and I've been well over most people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? I could finish a fifth, to the face, and not even dry heave until the morning.
Yeah. So, so let me ask you this. So in and out of the foster houses over the years, and you had mentioned that a couple of them were members of church, or like, what was your relationship like? What kind of relationship did you have with God at that point when you started drinking? Did you believe in God? What did it look like?
I guess my understanding of God at the time, and mind you, I had been, like I said, in different homes, so there was a taste of religion in every home, from Christian to Muslim to Jewish. There was a Hindu lady, and there was even like this Chinese Rastafarian lady in there. So I always thought that, one, that God was theirs, and they were trying to get me to understand their God, right? When I was younger, I remember my first actual experience was at the original church's house. It was a revival, the church lady's house. It was a revival or something like that, and one of her pastor friends was the preacher, and this was at the time when I was lying or something like that, and she had me walk up to the front of the service, and he put his hands over my mouth and said some mystical prayers. At least that's what I thought was going on. It was supposed to make me stop lying. And when he stopped, I was like, okay, my lips feel warm. Maybe it worked. Then I go over to her, and she's like, did it work? And I was like, yeah, but I knew it was a lie. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, you said he's lying right then. Yeah. Yeah.
Like, that's, you know what I mean? It didn't work. Like, well, I'm like, yeah, it worked, but I was just saying that to make her happy again,
Yeah.
And it was like that with a lot of the religions. Like, I understood that people believed in God, but I couldn't understand what it was that they were believing in.
Yeah. Wow. So, yeah. So let's fast forward. You start drinking, you fall in love with it, you black out, right?
Often.
So you consider yourself a blackout drunk? Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely. I don't even. That's what. Yeah. I'm coming to in jail. Somewhere killed over in the bushes when I add certain things to it. Like,
yeah.
I'm losing my car. you know what I mean? I don't know what happened the night before. Someone has to tell me.
Yeah. So, okay. So you're blackout drunk. You start, so are you still in New Jersey at this point? I mean, where are you at this point?
No, by the time I really got going,
Mm.
I was already, down in Florida. So
Okay,
my
that's
dad,
right. That's right.
yeah, my dad, he introduced me to AA.
Mm-hmm. You started going to meetings and stuff around that
Right.
time.
Yep. I went to a few meetings with him, and of course, it didn't take. I wasn't an alcoholic yet. You know, I didn't really understand how my dad could be an alcoholic. I just thought everyone drank the way I drank. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I did see what I did notice was he wasn't the man that I thought that I knew my father to be. I remember when I was a kid, you know, uh, it's a hazy memory, but me and my brothers were playing in the park, and um, there was some couple making out on the jungle gym or something like that, and we ran out and told our dad, and our dad went after them with the tire iron,
Mm.
and we all jumped in the car and made a getaway. I can remember that. That's like one or two of the only memories that I have of my father. So when I met him, there was this guy, and he was calm, and he smiled, and people liked him, and it seemed like people respected him, and it wasn't like people were afraid of him.
Yeah.
It wasn't like that respect that you get when people are afraid of you. It was like, people like to be around him,
Yeah.
and that was another culture shock for me.
Sure.
Coming into AA, and first off, not feeling that I belong there, but having my dad, just tell me like, hey, you're gonna go through some stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And this is how you get out of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And by the way, I'm gonna let you go through the stuff that you're gonna go through.
Mm.
Shortly after I got down to Florida, I met a girl, and she had a kid, and there was this one night, I had gone out looking for her. I was pretty hammered, and when I got to the house, I saw her uncle was molesting her son. He was a 2-year-old boy, and
Wow. Wow.
and I went and I broke both of his legs with a tire iron, and that was that's how I got on probation for the first time, and the judge kind of, I think, saw that what I was trying to do was right, even though it was wrong. I mean, I broke the guy's legs with a tire iron.
Yeah.
So he put me on probation, and I think that was my first understanding that I couldn't stop drinking because, I was like, I just get off, I do probation for 7 years, and I'll stay off the drugs and I'll stay off the alcohol, and it didn't work.
Yeah.
It didn't work. I think it lasted for about 6 months, and then it was a bunch of technical violations, and I think about 3 years later, I had did some petty misdemeanor, trying to turn myself in because I thought I violated again, and wind up trying to hop a cab, and too wasted to even get out of the cab.
Yeah.
So I got charged for petty theft, and they sent me up the road to prison for the remainder of my time, which was about 5 years.
Wow. And you did 5 years stint right then.
Yeah. Yep. They sent me up the road. I did 5 years in prison, and that's when I think understood that I had a problem. And I was I never. I was okay with going in and out of jail. You know what I mean? That was, petty as long as I got out. You know what I mean? A little drunk and disorderly here and there. But prison, I was like, no, not prison. You know what I mean? Because it just reminded me like I was in foster care again. And I just got my freedom, and I didn't want, what COs or how they look to me, staff,
Yeah.
tell me to do all over again, you know?
Sure. Sure.
So, I talked to my dad, briefly, and, I let him know that, I understood that I had a problem. But I got out of prison, and my brother called me, and I decided to leave Florida again and went back up to New Jersey, and subsequently went to Pennsylvania after that. Um, couldn't stay with my brother because I knew that if I stayed there for any longer than I was there, then I probably would be in prison again, because he decided he wanted to take the hard route,
Yeah.
my older brother.
Yeah. Gotcha. So let's get into I don't is this your, let's see, your dad introduced you to Alcoholics Anonymous, you started going to meetings, you ended up getting some legal trouble. How about, at what point did you actually decide, I think maybe I'm going to try Alcoholics Anonymous for the first time? How old was you?
Yeah. So when I was in Pennsylvania, I was doing really well. I started to go back to school, and was a restaurant manager at the time, and I was making decent money, and I had two children. My daughter was born. I had everything laid out for her. Everything was ready for her when she got here, and I was going to be a great dad. You know what I mean? And uh, what had happened was, working for this hotel, I thought that it would be a great idea that, because they had this liquor that they weren't selling and they didn't use, and it just seemed like it was just getting old. It was a great idea for me to pack all that stuff and take it home, and apparently they saw me on camera putting that stuff in a bag, and watched me take it back to my house, and I got fired.
Yeah.
I got fired from that job, and this was right before my daughter was born. So things went downhill pretty quickly after that. Within a year, I had a son, and nothing this time was there for him. And he was using my daughter's stroller and all that stuff, and eventually I lost the place and had to move in with the mother of my children's mom. This was about the time that I was like 29 or 30 years old, and her mom was, a raging alcoholic, like stay in her room, drunk, DTs, hallucinations, yelling, screaming, slightly racist, and she had alcohol, so we had fun when I drank with her, but she would get upset sometimes, and I would get upset with her, and I was just looking around like, this can't be my life. You know what I mean? My kids are living with this crazy lady, and I'm drunk all the time, and I feel like shit. I look like shit. Like, I'm sorry, I feel like crap. I look like crap, and I'm just not being the kind of person that I saw that I wanted to be for my kids. And one day I called my dad again. I was about 30 years old, and I called him, and I was crying, like, look, man, like, I want to be sober, and within a couple of days or so, I was back in Florida, on my 30th birthday, actually, I think it was. And he put me in a treatment center for the first time, and that's when I wanted to be sober for the first time in my life. And it lasted for a year, 2 years. I'd slip up fix myself and do another year, slip up, fix myself.
Mm.
I think the most time that I got together was 2.5 years out of all that time. And I brought my kids back down to live with me. You know, I was making decent money at the time again. And I was going to get married. And I started drinking again. And, you know, 6 months before the wedding, my fiance said that she was scared. And that was the end, you know. I got into a major car accident. Had to give my children back to their mom. And I was off again to the races. I would stay out probably for another 6 or 7 years. During that time, and this is something that I will have to make amends for with my children. They watched their grandmother die from alcoholism. Well, while they already know that their dad struggled with it, they would, and they went back to their grandmother's house and they watched her die. And yeah, so I think when I yes, I had the great idea that to get back at my my fiance for breaking up with me. It would be a great idea if I got married and posted it on Facebook. So I went out and bought a ring and called up this girl that I knew when I was 16. Asked her if she wanted to marry me, and she was like, "Yeah." And so you know, it was a match made in heaven. I moved to Delaware to be with her, and I thought this was going to be, this is going to be great. This girl was pretty bad off, you know what I mean? At the time, I had just I had a major car accident, and I had surgery, and I could barely move, and she decided it was a good time to beat the living crap out of me as often as possible, and I think we stayed married for about 4 months because I was like, look, I'm going to choke you. I got to go before I do that. And then, and at the time I had, found other things besides alcohol to get hooked on, particularly the pain pills that I was taking. And that was the only other time besides alcohol I had ever felt addicted to anything.
Oh. All right, so let's get to August 1st, 2023. Right. So you, what is it? Treatment at this point? Did you come into treatment that day, or?
Yeah. So I bounced around a bunch of times to treatment centers because I'm too drunk to get in a detox. Stayed in Atlanta for a little while, and then somehow found my way to Tennessee. Went to a, treatment center, stayed sober for about a year. Just kept on, having it and then losing it and having it and then losing it. This last run, I was pretty beat up. I was disgusted with myself, and I felt that hole in my soul again that I couldn't pour enough into. And I ended up in a motel room. This was, I was with a girl. Well, first I went to the same treatment center that I graduated from. I went there for a month. They asked me to stay, and they wanted me to mentor the guys and to just stay there for a little while longer. And I have stuff at this time, and I got clothes, and I got BMW, and I got stuff. I can't. I don't want to leave. I have other things to do. And shortly after that, another 6 months, and all of that stuff was gone. And I was in a hotel room, trying to drink myself to death. I have no idea how I got to detox. I don't remember calling anyone. I remember my friend was there. God bless his soul. He I believe got me into detox, and I went back into Buffalo Valley, and I decided, all right, I'm all out of options. You know what I mean? I thoroughly convinced, desperate. I just knew that it was either get sober or die. I was just too chicken to pull the trigger, because I always thought about my kids, and I didn't want them to see their dad like that. You know what I mean? But I figured, hey, if they knew I was a drinker, so if I died drunk, then that would be a okay story for them to live with. But not if I, shot myself or something like that. So, anyway, I made it back to treatment, and this time I decided to sit down, to sit all the way down, and to just do what I was told, whether I wanted to do it or not. Just do what I was told, and try my hardest not to think. That didn't help, because I still had to think, but I just didn't act. I stopped acting on my thoughts, and I just was like, okay, what do I do next? What do I do next? What do I do next? And it's kind of been like that even all the way up until now. I'm still like, okay, what do I do next? What do I do next?
Yeah. So you found you went into treatment, ended up getting out of treatment. You find you a sponsor there, and let's talk about that. What's the relationship?
Yeah, so while I was in the treatment center, this great group of guys came to visit the treatment center, and they brought the light in there with them. And I remember sitting, because they carry all sorts of meetings coming through the treatment center, and I would just sit there in the back, like, you know what I mean? Like, you just, you get to hear all of, the excuses that I used to make about, stuff, and when you guys came into the meeting, when you guys came in, and it was, I believe it was, I remember it was you, it was John, I think Jerome might have been with you. But it was like, I felt something come in that room with you guys. I felt like these guys aren't here to show me something. They're here to let me know something, and it didn't seem like it was about you guys. It wasn't about, I don't know what it was, you know what I mean? I felt like these were the guys that I was supposed to be talking to, and I remember, I was still pretty messed up at that point, but I think it was John. John asked, John said something, and I remember asking a question. It was like, how do I trust something? And it was a God question, and I think it was like, how do I trust something that I can't see the evidence of? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
like I understood I understood that I trusted alcohol. You know what I mean? I understood that I trusted, other substances or whatever, because I knew what I knew what I would get. And I think I understood for the first time that you guys were trying to give me something that I hadn't seen before. Something that I knew nothing about because I hadn't seen it before. And I wanted it, man. I really wanted it, but it was scary as hell.
Yeah.
It was still scary. I remember you speaking about the doctor's opinion, and you said the being restless, irritable, and discontent. And I remember, even as a when they made me a mentor after I did my 60 days in the program, I understood exactly at that moment what you were talking about, because there was nothing going wrong in my life. I had, you know what I mean? I was on the right path. I had clothes on my back. I had, things were starting to look okay, but there was just ugh, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
something I need to, I don't know what to do with my hands. That's what but like I felt like you know what I mean? And I sat down and thought about it. Like, I'm just as addicted to chaos as I am to anything else.
Mm.
You know what I mean? I need something to be going on.
Yeah.
This peace is scary. It's unsettling. You know what I mean? And I think shortly after that, I started working the steps with John. And along the way, I don't know why John. I don't know why John chose, accepted me, because I thought at first, you know what I mean, and I was probably in my head. I thought that I was like, this guy's never going to sponsor me. Look at his car, like, you know what I mean. You know what I mean? And that's what I want at first. You know what I mean? That's what my mind was like. This guy has a good life. I want what I can, you know what I mean? What's visible to me. Yeah. But after I got to know John, like, I didn't just want the stuff he had. I wanted to be just like him. Like, I wanted the peace that he had. That I wanted to be. He just seemed like he was just okay, Yeah. And it's the same with you. When I hear you, it's the same with you, Paul. There's this light that comes off of you. You know what I mean? That's super attractive. Like I want that own. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, you got it too, man. You got it.
There's something there that I can't touch, and I can't. You know what I mean? It radiates off of you. You know what I mean? And I'm I'm so grateful that, like, he asked me. No, he offered to be my sponsor, and he accepted it because I asked him. And after that, introduced me to the home group, and was like, hey man, go make some coffee.
Yeah.
I'm too scared to talk to anybody here. Like, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to, you know what I mean? I'm nervous. You know what I mean? I'm in Tennessee, and these guys have this weird twang.
Yeah.
That's the one thing about John, though. He didn't have that weird twang that
Nice.
you know.
Yeah. So you get busy with the steps with him. You'll start going through the process, and then you do it. What you do? You go through the steps. You do a third and fourth step, fifth step, right?
Right.
Let's talk about like what life looks like today. Now that 2 years later.
Okay, so I think that when I was talking about the steps, like I think that restless, irritable, and discontent that I was feeling at the end, as I started working the steps, it seemed like it slowly started to lift off of me for some reason. Like, I remember working, doing the fifth step with John in his house. And I remember, the day before, I have these things that I've never told anybody and questioning, am I going to tell him? And I've never told anybody these things ever in my life. And am I going to say anything to him about it? And the first thing he did when I met him was like, give me the 3 worst things that you can tell me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was like, bleh, like I don't know how he pulled it out of me, but like I gave it to him, and he was okay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And after the stuff that wasn't so hard to tell him, just was like, yeah, this stuff is nothing compared to, and you know what I mean? And he just looked at me like, all right, I love you, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're okay. Like, you know what I mean? And I felt that, what do you call it in the Bigfoot? The sky got a little brighter right afterwards, and I could see grass and
felt connected.
Yes,
like you wasn't alone.
That, I think, yes, that was that spiritual experience that I was looking. The fourth step was tough for me. You know what I mean? It took a little while for me to get it done, but he would lovingly nudge me, say stuff like, you know what I mean? Like John says, in a little sarcastic way of saying things. But it was all love, though, man. And I don't think I would have received it from, anybody else. Like, you know what I mean? Like I received it from John, because I hear sometimes like sponsors could be like this tough, edgy type of thing. You know what I mean? If you had tried me with that, I'd have been like, I'd have gave you the finger. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You don't scare. Stop trying to be tough. And John wasn't like that. John was all love, like all like,
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and his wife, like, broke my shell, like almost immediately, just hanging out in our house and saying one day, just like, if people would just let us love them, and I think that they would be okay. And I don't know, that the way she said it, I don't know, just cracked something inside of me, and I was like, okay, all right, like I'll just let you guys love me. Like, and from there, it's like, things just started to shift for me. I eventually, started working for the treatment center that I'm with right now. Did a couple classes, got some certifications, and I'm putting together classes now, and talking to the guys on a regular basis, and just trying to be open about my experiences, and giving back as much as I can.
Getting some purpose in your life, huh?
Yes, yeah, and not only that, like I feel like I know now what I should be doing next. You know what I mean? And I don't have, and honestly, I don't have a lot of time I wish sometimes I had more time for extracurricular activities, but it just seems like God has me in a place where the only thing that I can do is recovery center. So there's a bit of recovery in every single thing that I do. Like from work, when I have free time, I just have enough free time to go hit a meeting up. Like I have, I just decided I need to lose 40 pounds of this recovery weight that I got over the past 2 years. So I have to go to the gym late nights, you know what I mean? And then it's to bed and it's pretty much back up to work again. And, and I got time to get to a meeting really quickly or, I'm looking forward to sponsoring. I don't know, honestly. As much as John says that I'm ready, I still have,
fears.
Yeah, I have some fears. I have some fears and I have some doubts. And Renee told me the other day, actually yesterday, Renee told me to just pray. You know what I mean? Yeah. To have one for you when he's ready. You know what I mean? And I did that this morning. Like, like I'm like, okay, like I'll try it. Like, you know what I mean? I am for all the suggestions right now. You know what I mean? I think it dawned on me that before recovery, I was taking so many other suggestions. Like, here, try this, or like, here, give this a shot. This is gonna do this for you, and you know what I mean? And it was all of it ended me up in some of the worst places in my life. And the suggestions that I'm getting right now are putting me in the best places I've been in my life.
Yeah. It's wonderful because I tell you, I think that it's cool because, obviously like my childhood doesn't compare to anything to you, man. You had a rough upbringing. It's cool how like watching, knowing your past and just watching you over the last couple of years and just seeing the light come on in your eyes and stuff. It's like, man, it's like, this is what recovery is all about. We find a home, we find a place that we can actually enjoy and be a part of. And we don't realize that's what I didn't realize that's what I was looking for, and I found my people, right. And I could relate to them and they understood me. I understood them. They give me purpose. I started waking up spiritually. My mind started quieting down, and started forming a relationship with some kind of power that's, absolutely head over heels in love with me, and
well, that's the thing too. Like part of my growing up is never ever feeling like I belonged anywhere.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Always trying to fit in somewhere. Like always, even, that was part of the, drinking and drugging was a part of me getting to know people for a good long time. You know what I mean? But,
sure.
And that was about just me trying to be seen. But like years, like I found my family. Like I never felt like I even fit in with my family for the little bit of time that I knew them. And they all are drinkers and, druggers. And I just never even felt like I belonged there either.
Yeah. Well, the cool part is like, it's still similar in this way is that like, we still try to fit in and do all this stuff. And then we learn through our mistakes and grow up, but we get to do it together without shaming each other and looking down on each other. It's like, it's a place where it's a safe space that we're allowed to grow spiritually and just be like, oh, okay, so it's okay to do this. That's the cool part about it. We can accept it as it comes, right?
All right, we're allowed to make mistakes today.
Yeah.
Not beat up.
It's so important. Me and John always talk about how important it is to be transparent. I've met people over the years that are talk down about so and so for being this way or talk down. And don't get me wrong, I'm not going to say I'm not guilty of that over the years, and can still be. But at the end of the day, like the guy that's like ran his life into the ground, and crawled out of it and has formed a relationship, you know, with a power greater himself and grown through the situations. That's the guy I'm talking to, right? That's the guy I want to get to know, the guy that made his way out, you know, with some help and is willing to share it with us, you know?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I hope. I mean, I want to give back what's been given to me, and you know, I always try to be there. You know, at this point, it's like a lot of service work for me because you know, especially with the home group, and I'm like, everyone's got to see this.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you met, you know what I mean? You're like, I was blessed. I was given a gift, and I want everyone to get a chance to see that, to get that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's amazing. Like, it's not like it's more magic than therapy could have ever done. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
For me, you know, and
Sure.
it's life changing.
Yeah. So let's end with this, right? So if you have 2 minutes to share with, just say there's somebody that's come in, Alcoholics Anonymous, or just not even Alcoholics Anonymous, just thinking about considering getting sober, and you got 2 minutes to share something with them. What would you have to say? 2 minutes or less about your experience in recovery.
First, I would be like, don't think.
Nice.
You're doing it wrong already. So no, a lady told me early on, and I'm grateful that I heard it early on, that sometimes, you know, and I envision that like this, you know, I'm on this road with God, you know what I mean, and He's driving. You like, in my lifetime, I was always the person, like, you know, God, there's a shortcut. I know a different way. I know how to get there faster. Or oh, you just missed your path. You missed a stop back there. And you know, God, you know what I mean? Pull the wheel, and I'll pull the wheel and end up in a ditch over and over and over and over again. But this lady told me, you know, you need to be duct taped in the trunk. You know what I mean? Like, you don't, like, you know, sit back and enjoy the ride, right? Like, and so, you know, I picture myself right now, duct taped, blindfolded, in the trunk, feeling all the bumps with God driving, and also knowing that it's going to be okay. Mm. And it's a scary process, yeah. But I'm learning to trust that there's a way that I don't know, and it's going to be okay. Mm. And I got people that to support me along the way, man. Like, I got people. There's visible evidence that this thing works. Mm. I just have to let it. I have to get out of my way.
Till the ground a bit, right?
Yeah. You know, that's what I said. But my thinking is my way. Yeah. I want what I want when I want it. If I don't get it, it's wrong. Only, you know, I'm the only person that could be right. Everything that I know and my dismal understanding of what's going on in this world is the absolute truth. And no, I'm so wrong about so many things, and I only know a speck of anything, you know. Yeah. And I'm okay with that today. I'm okay with not knowing. I'm okay with staying in the I don't know, so that I can learn something new.
Yeah. Nice. It's good stuff, man. Well, this has been awesome. I appreciate you sharing all this with us, man. You got such a powerful freaking story. It's crazy. It's been a whole lot of fun just getting to know you over the years and seeing you grow and continuing to watch it. And
absolutely, I look forward to joining you on this retreat. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's coming up, and you know, I have to make some arrangements to get there, but I didn't go to the first one, but I'm definitely trying to get to the second one.
Yeah. Let me share about that for the listeners. For the listeners, and there's only 30, probably, let's see, 25 or 30 slots available right now. The registration starts September 1st. And it is the Rule 62 Men's Retreat in Sewanee, Tennessee. On the Facebook page, I'll post a flyer for it. So anyone interested, reach out to us. And appreciate you, Raheem. And I will be seeing you soon, brother. And thank you so much for sharing this with us. And
Thanks for having me, man. I love you, Paul.
love you, buddy.
Just keep it for me, bro. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. I love you, man. Have a wonderful night, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.
All right, you too, man. Have a good night.
See you, buddy.
All right.
Hello. Thank you for listening to 3 Legacies Recovery Recordings. If you enjoy our program, please be sure to like and subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to share with a friend. We're also self-supporting, so feel free to contribute to the channel through Venmo at Recovery Recordings 615. Please note that the views expressed on this podcast are solely our individual views and do not represent any official stance of any 12-step program. We are not affiliated with any specific recovery organization, and this content should not be considered as professional advice for alcoholism or addiction.